What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one, according to Jeff Howie, the New England Patriots are going to be keeping a very close eye on the All-Pro defensive end in J.J. Watt. He reported that the Patriots are going to keep a very close eye on him this offseason. They're going to see what the Texans do decide to do with him. If they do decide to go in separate directions, it was reported that Bill Belichick is going to be very high on potentially acquiring J.J. Watt to the Pats. Now, I say acquire for one big reason, and that is the fact that he is still under contract with the Houston Texans. Watt had signed a new contract back in, I believe, 2014 or 2015, and is set to be an unrestricted free agent in 2022. So, obviously, the big thing to note is that if the Texans do decide to trade him, if it's the Patriots or any other team that acquires him, the big thing to note is that you'd only have him under contract for one season, and that's next year, 2021. Other than that, he would be a free agent in 2022. So if you don't get a long-term deal done with him, then you're only going to have him as a rental. And it is worth noting that in 2021, he is expected to make a large sum of money. He's expected to have a cap hit of $17.5 million. $17.5 million. He would be probably the highest paid player on the New England Patriots if they did acquire him. Now, there's a lot of dysfunction going on in Houston right now. A lot of players are not happy that, the Houston Texans went out and hired former Patriot Nick Caserio to be their new general manager. Jack Esser to be the former Patriot. A lot of things not going on well there. Deshaun Watson potentially wanting out. Now we're hearing that J.J. Watt has also been very vocal about his frustration with the Houston Texans situation. And this is the first time. This is only the second time in the past 5 years that J.J. Watt was able to play a full 16 games. Other than that, he has just been plagued by injuries throughout his career. Now, he's without a doubt 100% a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best at his position in NFL history. But he would definitely be much better and staple himself into history if it wasn't for all of these injuries. Many people actually thought that J.J. Watt was going to be traded this past year during the trade deadline, if not the offseason, and that just didn't happen. J.J. Watt does know that he is in the final year of his $100 million contract. He also knows that he is not the number one guy on the Houston Texans anymore. While he is a great player, he is a great guy to have. One of the big things to remember here with J.J. Watt is that because of these injuries, because he's getting older, he's been plagued so much that these younger guys on the Houston Texans defensive line are just lapping him. They're getting past him. There's not as much of a need for J.J. Watt on the Houston Texans. And at this point, if you have a guy who's taking up $17.5 million, you're on a rebuild mode, he isn't a must to your team, try to trade him. Don't just play him in that last year. Try to trade him and see what you can get out of him. And of course, like always, he was asked about the situation, and he had this to say. He said, "There's a whole lot of unknown in that situation. We'll see what happens." He also said that, "I don't have any guarantees left in my contract, so something's got to happen one way or another. I'm not sure. There's too many unknowns." Now, believe it or not, J.J. Watt is only 31. It does feel like he is a lot older, especially because of all these injuries. Just, the position he's playing in the NFL, he might be 31, but he's definitely playing in his mid to late 30s. At least that is what it's looking like. So I just don't think that J.J. Watt has a much longer time in the NFL here. I think he only has a few more years in the NFL max. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised he didn't call it quits already. Even looking at his stats this past year in recent years, he's not the same player he once was back in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, or even in 2018. This past year, 2020, he appeared in 16 games. He started all of those. He had one interception, which was returned for 19 yards and a touchdown. He also had 7 passes defended. He had 2 forced fumbles, had just 5 sacks, had a total of 52 tackles, had 14 tackles for loss and 16 quarterback hits. Obviously, the production is not worth $17.5 million. I think that's just something that stands out. I think that is 100% a guarantee, no matter where he goes, whether that's the Texans, the Patriots, anywhere else. If he's going to put up that production, I just don't think it's worth $17.5 million. Is it definitely still worth a nice sum of money? For sure. I would still give him $8 to $10 million maybe. But $17 million, I mean, that's making more than a good amount of quarterbacks in the league, and be the highest paid New England Patriots player on the team if this were to occur. I just don't think it is worth it for that type of compensation they're getting back, especially if you do mix in that injury history. If we look back at 2019, he appeared in just 8 games. Of course, he did start those 8 games also. He had 3 passes defended. He had 1 forced fumble. He had just 4 sacks, 24 total tackles. He had 4 tackles for loss and 21 quarterback hits. In 2018, which he actually went to the Pro Bowl, that was another year that he was able to play a full season. 16 games, started all of them. He had 4 forced fumbles. 4 passes defended and 7 forced fumbles to also go along with 16 sacks, 61 total tackles, 18 tackles for loss, and 25 quarterback hits. And then you look back at other years like, 2017 and 2016, which are big reasons that started to plague his career because he only played 3 games in 2016 and 5 in 2017, so the statistic really didn't matter there, but before those 2 seasons of just plagued injuries, he was putting up 17.5 sack seasons, 20, 10.5, 20.5, 5.5. Obviously, what he would bring to the New England Patriots would tremendously and immediately upgrade anything and everything that they have. He would be the best player on their defensive line, and I just don't think that you could possibly make that argument. I kind of see this potentially being like, and again, this is if it were to happen, kind of being something like when the Patriots acquired James Harrison last minute in this regular season. An older guy, a veteran who's been in the league for a very long time, a big guy who is immediately going to upgrade no matter where he is put, and you're going to get that production out of him. You do just have some concerns on, the level of time he's going to play with you, whether that's injury or whether that's just contract-wise and money-wise or just how long he's going to be in the league. He would help out New England in every single aspect. I definitely think the Patriots need a true veteran to help, bolster this defense, especially this defensive line. He would come in and be a true leader. We still have question marks about Dante Hightower, if he's going to come back or not. And I think that was a big piece that the New England Patriots were missing up front within their defense. Whether it's helping to stop the run or whether it is just applying pressure, J.J. Watt has clearly been able to do every single aspect within the game, and he's somebody that would acquire double teaming. What that means is that it would help other guys get open. I just don't really think there's much guys on the Patriots that truly do acquire getting double teamed on a consistent basis. Yes, sometimes maybe a Chase Winovich does need to, but for the most part, there really isn't that number one guy that consistently you need to worry about and consistently has to get double teamed. You get J.J. Watt in the building, and now you have someone that consistently has to get that attention from multiple offensive linemen, and that is just going to help multiple other guys get open, whether that is linebackers blitzing, whether that's safeties blitzing, corners blitzing, or whether that's just other guys on the defensive line, whether that's Uche or Winovich, that now helps other guys get open because there's one less offensive lineman to help compensate. Now, guys, the NFL regular season is finally finished up. The playoff picture is clear, and we're just waiting to see who the Super Bowl contenders are going to be. There's only one place online that has you covered and one place that we trust, and that is betonline.ag. If you sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use that promo code CLNS50 for your 50% off welcome bonus. Whether that's weekly NFL games, college games, current headlines in sports, BetOnline has you covered from top to bottom. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore, guys. Get in with the action, and do not forget to use that promo code CLNS50 to receive a 50% off welcome bonus with your first deposit. Again, BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. For me, y'all, this just comes down to what exactly the Houston Texans would want. J.J. Watt is not worth the first-round pick. J.J. Watt, I wouldn't even give a second-round pick. The best that I would give up for J.J. Watt, the absolute best, is a third-round pick. Watt is one of the best of the generation. Easily, hands down, zero argument that you can make about that. but there is a lot of concerns that come with this. His injury history, how much is he actually going to be able to play? The age he's at, 31. How much longer are you actually going to get him in? At what production are you going to get from him? And then, of course, also comes that big contract that the Patriots would only get for 1 year. I mean, again, you have to give something up for J.J. Watt, and then you're taking on $17.5 million, and the Patriots need a lot of help. They need to re-sign players. They're going to bring players in via free agency to help rebuild, going to bring players in via trade, via the draft. And I just don't know if you want to bring in one 31-year-old injury-prone guy that you have signed under contract for 1 year. I mean, the Patriots are just not in a predicament where they could use just a 1-year rental of J.J. Watt, They are not Super Bowl contenders. They're not one piece away from, being Super Bowl contenders. And while J.J. Watt, again, has just spectacular, unrealistic abilities and talent, I do think that there are guys out there that the Patriots could get for less money and guys that they can get out there for a longer contract. But again, if this deal were to happen, I wouldn't necessarily be mad. One, I just don't want to give up anything high in compensation. And two, I would just hope that the Patriots could get another contract done with him. That is going to be it for today's video, though. Of course, this all does not matter unless the Houston Texans do decide to trade him. But I really would not be surprised if that move is decided to be made. That's going to be it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on this one, the news? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. Like always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.